I proceed from the assumption that automating prepress workflows will lead to increased overall productivity for the entire print shop, within the scope that such automation can influence. Improved productivity will allow higher compensation for skilled professionals, helping to either retain them or attract talent from other print shops. In either case, those who take on this process will ultimately benefit. The problem with most print shops is that their existing prepress file preparation requirements often explicitly require the absence of the very data needed to automate prepress workflows. In other words, these requirements assume an ideal world where the customer is highly knowledgeable and able to prepare files perfectly for the specific print shop. Yes, such customers do exist, but they are critically rare, exceptionally rare. They are a unique type of client, and such a client can often prepare files for print even better than the print shop's own staff. But this is not the real-world scenario across the industry. We cannot rely on the competence of the customer, nor in many cases on the competence of print shop staff, because in fact there is hardly any proper training for prepress specialists, neither for customers nor for print shops. We now face a dangerous situation where there is simply no one systematically preparing such professionals, and it is the owners and managers of print shops who have largely created this situation. Only a few have begun to recognize the complexity and risks involved, and they are just beginning to take action. But this is only the start of a long and organizationally complex process. Let me offer an analogy. Imagine the difference between drivers who have studied and passed an exam on the rules of the road, and pedestrians who at best have only heard about these rules. Yet the system still works, right? There aren't mountains of pedestrian fatalities littering the roads. Why? Because the rules were developed by professionals and are practical to follow, giving drivers a clear path to ensure safe driving without hitting pedestrians. Meanwhile, pedestrians are given simple guidance. For example, stop at a red light, walk at a green light, and use crosswalks. And that is enough, right? But what do many poorly informed print shop managers believe? They assume that pre-press file preparation requirements will not be read anyway, so the content doesn't really matter in practice. Unfortunately, most such documents have one thing in common. They explicitly prohibit the inclusion of ICC profiles. In my opinion, this is an act of self-sabotage, harming the print shop's own interests first and foremost. What can be done right now? Include in the file itself information about how the file was created. If it was created correctly, this information will simply confirm that fact. If it was not created correctly, this information will make it clear how to fix the issues quickly and with minimal effort, often with just a click of the mouse. Sounds fantastic? Well, this type of information is precisely what ICC profiles provide, the very data that many print shops prohibit in their prepress requirements. Paradoxical? I would say professionally unacceptable. It's like a driver who only knows how to turn right. Technically, you could still reach your destination, but how efficient would that be? The sad reality is that many print shops still operate this way. Of course, they would never admit this publicly, but that doesn't change the internal reality. So what's the solution? Embed within the design files the very ICC profiles that are currently prohibited. PDFX format enables this, and it's completely free. ICC profiles allow us to understand the most important thing: what color the client intended to produce in their design. Even if they made mistakes in their color management workflow, the situation is easily and quickly correctable. Now a few words about the pedestrian rules, meaning the rules for customers. PDFX was specifically created as an exchange format for digital documents prepared for printing. The X signifies that the file is intended for printing in a professional print shop, whether analog or digital, and all the necessary information for analysis and potential corrections is embedded within the file. This information is also generated automatically. Crosswalks, meaning color settings, already exist for layout programs from Adobe and Quark Express. There are also ready-made options for generating PDFX files, as well as free tools for checking and correcting them if needed. These tools can be downloaded, installed, and used free of charge. They function as a pedestrian crosswalk, keeping you safe from being hit by a car. And this is precisely what should be clearly stated in the prepress file preparation requirements.